hustleformining.com.au, and joining me today is the CEO of Alchemy Resources, James Wilson. James, it's great to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Shay. Just fresh off the plane from New South Wales, actually. So, yeah, doing well.
I'm all excited to hear about what is happening out in New South Wales, and we've got a little bit of recapping to start with. Earlier in the week, you confirmed that you had access granted to some of your New South Wales tenements. Can you summarise that for me?
Yeah, in a nutshell, in New South Wales, when you go through a right to negotiate process that involves getting a land access agreement with the Aboriginal groups over there. In this case, it's in sort of summary, it's the Nyemba group that we deal with over there, and we signed the land access agreement with those guys back in April. Then it goes through to ministerial consent, so it has to go to the Resources Minister for what's called a Section 31 deed, and that was granted on Monday by the Minister and kindly executing that document for us. So that completes the right to negotiate process and gives us access to the ground that we are looking to explore on.
Listen, it's an excellent step forward for your projects in the region, but there is one project I want to talk about in particular, and that is your Yellow Mountain project. Now, I have been telling anybody who'll listen since 2019 that the Linfold Belt is the most exciting place to be, but I believe, and this reinforces my point of view actually, Yellow Mountain hasn't been drilled since 1986. Am I correct?
That's correct. Yeah, there's been a few explorers on the ground there, sort of setting the scene for where we are. Yellow Mountain sits about 10, 15 kilometres up the road from Kingston Resources, currently mining down the road at Mineral Hill. We're to the east of Australian Gold and Copper, who's having a big win at Achilles at the moment and doing really well in exploration. And just to the south, so sandwiched in between all three, the apex of that is Aurelia at Federation. So their mine that's just started going. So it's an area that's got great potential. It has two existing mines within Cooey of us as well. So Yellow Mountain sits right in the guts of that, and it's quite exciting. Historically, a few operators had a go in the 80s, actually all the way sort of to the 1800s, actually. They mined copper and silver from open pits there. When people who'd been there before found old crucibles from the 1800s. And no one's really been able to say a drill, as you say, since 1986. But the results that have been on the ground historically are pretty amazing.
I love that Cooey is a genuine unit of measurement in Australia. I know exactly what you're talking about as well.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about planned exploration coming up for the Yellow Mountain project for the rest of the year. And I noticed that you've got a healthy cash balance as well. Are you well funded for your exploration plans?
Yeah, we've got 3 million in the bank as of the June quarter. It's great to see. It's great to be able to go and sort of have budgets that go out sort of beyond 12 months with that money. And in particular with Yellow Mountain, so sort of just focusing on results, I guess, is the historic results there were, I don't know, you can pick any from our latest announcement. There was 24 meters at 1.12% copper, 1.2% lead. They're okay, but this is from surface. This is actually from 0 meters. So this is sticking out of the ground. Some of the guys in 2012 took some mullet dump stockpiles from the old mines around there from the 1800s and got 7% copper and 6.5% lead from that stuff sitting around on the ground. So it's there. And our planned exploration for that will be to try and replicate some of those drill holes just to make sure that they were telling the truth back in the day with the rotary lie detector. Like we're 40 years in terms of drilling technology as well. So, or probably closer to 50 actually. Like you've got to sort of make sure that those results they're reporting way back in the 80s were accurate, and then we can sort of really pull it apart structurally and have another crack at it. So we're going in, the exploration will evolve, a couple of guys going and doing structural mapping, some very high quality guys that we come from Western Australia, pull it apart, put it all back together, generate some targets. In the meantime, we're going to be sitting on site taking grab samples, trying to replicate some of those high-grade copper intercepts that we saw from surface, and that'll be in the next, I don't know, week or two. So as soon as we can get the guys on the ground, we will. And then we've already put the heritage survey request in with the group to go and make sure there's no sites of significance or anything like that when we look to go in and do the clearing for the drilling. And we'll have a red hot go and see what we can find.
This is probably a little bit selfish of me to ask, given how much detail you've just gone into, but it's clear that you're going to have news coming out of Yellow Mountain over the coming weeks. When do we get the chance to see if the original drillers there from a century ago are telling the truth?
Well, I mean, once the guys get on site with the mapping, we'll be taking samples, and once we put those in, we'll take some pictures of those and put them out to the market as well, just to show people what we think is there. We do have to estimate the grade on those as well, given ASX requirements these days, which is pretty simple when you're dealing with malachite and azurite and sphalerite. It's not hard to estimate grade on really high grade sulfides and stuff. So with a bit of luck, from the historical stuff we've seen, it's there. So it's just, hopefully it's more of the same, which will be very exciting. And like you think like assay techniques have changed materially since the 80s. We need to use 4-acid digest now. I'll give you a 48 element spread. So we'll learn so much more now than we did back in 1986. Having said that, the dad style was probably a bit better back then, but certainly mine wasn't. But the results nowadays will be much better than those in the 80s and much more accurate.
Listen, it sounds like there's some great news ahead. I can't wait to see what comes out of this area. Thank you so much for being here, James, and I look forward to future updates.
Thanks, Shay.